All right, I'm live a little early, but I'm going to wait until 6 o'clock to start. Sorry, you guys, but we'll be going right at 6. So we got about 15 minutes. Just keep coming. I promise you, tonight's going to be worth it. Oh, all right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and start a little early. If there are any questions, feel free to put them, ask, and I will respond. So, tonight is going to be an explanation of what's been going on with my immediate family. When I say that, my mom, my dad, my sister, her two boys, Hunter and Jonah. For those who don't know, my sister, my mother, and my father have all passed away. I lived in Colorado during this time. So they needed help. My mom did because she was hiding my father's dementia, which was a tremendous toll on her. I can only imagine what my mom went through hiding that every day. But when she passed, it was more than obvious to everybody what was going on. His dementia had set in and taken over. He had trouble remembering me on the day of the funeral. So my mother asked my cousin, since I was living in Colorado, if he would help. She even asked me about it. I said, yeah, I think Mark would be a good idea. So they reached out to Mark, my cousin, Barbara's son, for help. Thinking, this is my dad's sister and her son, that this shouldn't be that big of a deal. And then my mom passed. And then it exploded onto the scene about my dad's illness and how he was drinking on top of his illness. And I had a problem with that. And me having a problem with that caused Barbara, Mark, and the lawyer, they changed my father's will at this point and wrote me out of it. They told my father to lie to me about it. The only reason I knew that he was told to lie to me is because the minute I would leave the room, he would look at the person next to him and say, yeah, they told me to lie to him about that. So it is when they start making a person with dementia not be honest, when that's all they have, it makes things deteriorate fast. And I mean fast. Within a day, they can deteriorate when you're asking someone to not be honest about their lives as they try to navigate with dementia. So during this time, it got to a point where it was counterproductive for me to stay and take care of my father because of what Barbara and Mark had interjected. And about Barbara and Mark, let me say this about the funeral home, because people are asking, like, why? I don't believe every person at the funeral home is involved with this. I believe every person at the funeral home knows what's going on and choosing to look the other way. And to me, that makes them just as guilty. And we'll get into what exactly is being done, but we've got time. So I left. We're back. Put it in Mark's hands, hoping that he would manage correctly. Immediately, within 7 days, Jonah calls and says, hey, Joe gave a $25,000 check to the neighbor, and he gave a check back that bounced. I'm like, what? So Mark was allowing him to give his money away, even though he didn't know what he was doing, writing checks for $25,000, $15,000 to whoever. No one knows. The money's gone. All of my father's and my firearms that were in the safe at my parents' house. Some were mine, some were my father's. I believe one was my nephew Hunter's. I'm not positive. The whole safe is gone. The whole safe. None of the firearms are there. They were reported stolen today. So when we find out who's stealing, that's serious. It's a felony and a federal offense. And they're not Hunter Biden. This is a crime with a firearm. It's during this time while I was gone, they continued. The one deal that my mom, my dad, and my sister always had was to make sure Jonah finishes school. Not Hunter, Jonah. In his last semester, Mark and Barbara evicted him from his home in his last semester. So he still hasn't finished college because of what these people did. So I know the power behind the funeral home because I'm a member of it, was a member of it. They have police departments, sheriff's departments in their pocket, ready to go to work for them, making unlawful arrest. So it makes it really hard. They had me arrested for standing on a public sidewalk with a sign. And now I found out it's just completely outrageous. Completely outrageous that freedom of speech is the First Amendment, not necessarily freedom of speech. The First Amendment is not protected in front of the funeral home. So there's one business in the country that gets protection above all others. And this business rapes you. In your deepest and darkest moments, the funeral home steps in, and they're nice and they're kind, and you have to give them thousands and thousands of dollars. But they're sweet to you. You like it. They talk nice. They always speak nice. They always speak proper. They always speak polite. Just like bankers. Just like bankers. They own banks. They did. They have. It's disgusting. I'm working on exposing more of Mark and Barbara right now. But Mike Mulhearn will be next, followed by Shelley, then Butch, I think. Maybe Thomas. I don't know. Y'all, I've gotten a lot of messages about who I should do next, so we'll talk about that soon enough. These people are vultures. They come around when you've lost one of the most important people in your life. And they want it. They want that money. You don't deserve it. That's what they say. You don't need that. You're too young to have that money. You should give it to us. Yes, someone just commented they did charge $14,000 for my mother's funeral. No idea about my father's funeral. Wasn't allowed to attend. They wouldn't let me move my father from the funeral home, and they wouldn't let me see him. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But they stopped the funeral in the middle of the funeral and made my nephews sign something that released them. And making someone sign something under duress isn't a signature, just in case they're wondering. I'm sorry, I lose track. Um, please smash that like button and share it if you're listening. So now I just found out there's a warrant in Louisiana for out for my arrest for standing in front of the funeral home. Gonna have to go down and take care of that at some point. It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. They have forged Jonah's signature on paperwork. And like I said, all the guns, all of my father's guns and all of my guns are gone. And whoever stole them, you will get yours. I guarantee it. It's coming. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you're sitting there with these guns in your home, know that you have no legitimate purpose for them because they're someone else's. So they've just worked, they've done everything they can to keep Jonah. They have not even read the will that they changed to Jonah. They've never presented that. That's supposed to be done immediately. But no, they couldn't do it immediately because they had given my mother's and father's cars to their children to drive around. That when the nephews get in it, there's marijuana in these cars from Mark's children smoking marijuana in my parents' cars at school. How? It, boom, just explodes. They're just, these are the worst people. These are the people that our parents warned us about, and they are them. My parents, if you speak to my mother's family, they can honestly tell you what my parents, not what I say they thought, what my parents thought about the Mulhearns, especially after they got out of the funeral home. Whether it be sleeping with someone else's wife or husband, or promise you there's more to come. This is just the first day of live. We will be doing this at least once a week, and we'll be talking. The things that are going to happen in court from this point forward, no doubt. There's no way any of these people would meet me on a dark road. So we're going to settle this legally and lawfully by the Constitution. And I know you don't like it. So there's some people in here that I see, and choosing my words carefully now because I don't want to cross into an area that I don't. Since I've lost Smiley, I have grown in a way that I wasn't able to, I don't think, with her mentally, because I always leaned on her. She was perfect. So it has opened up my eyes, and I'm kicking in doors. And it, for a funeral home to step in and think that they can do better, it's not their place. It's not their place. Just get out. You can get rid of me by getting out of my business. It's that simple. It's that simple. Leave Jonah alone, and I'll leave you alone. And if you think it's okay to do what Mark has done, please explain. Here's your opportunity. You can do it right now. Explain to me what Mark has done right. Y'all say you're taking care of the funeral, and then he comes to me and asks me for $14,000. I don't get it. I don't get it. You buried my father and you used him to promote your business because there was no other family there except you. The boys were there. They didn't feel like they had a choice. You forced them. You forced their hand. And forcing someone to do anything, there's a special place for you. There's a special place for Mark. And I promise you, when the time comes and he has his heart attack, it'll come. These people, they do horrible things, charge ridiculously amounts of money. So they collected every COVID death. Let's talk about this for a minute. COVID. How do you, like, we all know now that it was a farce, that what happened, COVID's a real thing, don't get me wrong. But the lockdowns, the social media censorship, how do you keep the lid on it and say, like, all these people are dying from this one thing? You pay the funeral homes. You take them, average funeral pre-COVID running $6,500, and the federal government says, all right, for every COVID death, we'll give you $9,000 to use however you want. But these are the same people that would freak out over loan forgiveness for education. Do you see the hypocrisy? These are the people that rules for thee, but not for me. And if you don't believe me, just ask the sheriff, ask any sheriff deputy, ask any West Monroe police officer, ask a Monroe police officer, ask a Richland Parish sheriff's deputy. The rule is the Mulhearns pay more. That's what they've always said. So we're going deeper. I've got a stack of papers here. People have sent me all kinds of things that we're going to expose over the next, I don't know, year. Then I am going to just lay some people out with the best news work I've ever done. I'm not sure what else. If y'all have any questions, please ask. If not, I love y'all. Thank you for watching, and we will do this again in about 3 or 4 days. All right. Y'all have a great one.